Well, hello everybody again. Been a couple weeks since you've heard my voice. Hopefully you enjoyed the break. I've been very pleased with the hard work pretty much everyone has been doing and the way in which you've been engaging with the material and each other. Online classes are always tricky. Um, so, uh, Good job so far. What we're going to get into right now is module number 4. I'll put up module number 5 soon, and I think I'm going to have module number 5 be our last module. So if you notice here, I've sort of changed the schedule a little bit. Instead of having a module 6, I've sort of squeezed in ideas of privacy into the last two modules, module number 4 and module number 5. And then because of the responses at the midterm about how people were feeling about the final project and how they felt not overwhelmed, but that it was a significant amount of work, I've decided to give you extra time to work on that. So after module 5, which will end right before Thanksgiving break, the rest of the time after Thanksgiving break, you can work on the final project. And I'll say a lot more about that when I put up information for the final module. But let's get into module number 4, which is what you're working on today, and you're looking at this. Of course, you can't click on the video yet because I haven't uploaded it. But the subject for this module is going to be undercover and stolen information, privacy and undercover and stolen information. The module takes place during 2 weeks from Monday, October 22nd through Friday, November 2nd. And as always, you can click on the links below here to work on the module. Everything needs to be completed by Friday, November 2nd. And of course, email or text with any questions. You're going to, at a certain point, go to WikiLeaks. That's why I have this little image here. If you're not familiar with it, you will be soon. So let's get into what you are going to do for module number 4. So what we're talking about for this module is a bunch of different things, but generally the idea of what do we do or how should the media handle information that doesn't come to it in the sort of easiest form. So what about information that is private to certain people or organizations and not others? What about if certain reporters or people who gather information go undercover or in some way sort of are not wholly themselves when they're collecting that information? And what about information that is stolen? So to begin to think about all of these ideas, I have posted a link to a movie called Citizenfour. It's a documentary that for the most part, even though it starts with discussions of privacy, for the most part follows some reporters as they begin to interview and deal with Edward Snowden, who is, if not the most, close to the most well-known person who has sort of released private government agency information. So Citizenfour is interesting for a number of different reasons. One is you get to see Edward Snowden firsthand and how he's thinking through what he's doing, but also you have a number of media people trying to figure out how to deal with all of this. So you have the documentarian herself who's trying to figure out how to deal with everything. You have the various reporters from The Guardian and some other organizations. They're trying to deal with it. So I think it gives a good whole sort of picture of all of the different media ethics issues that are arising while all of this stuff unfolded. So in order to watch Citizenfour, you just click on this link. And you should be able to simply click on the play button right here. I'll do it right now so you can see how it works. And the documentary is a regular length movie. So, you know, if you want to have it up to the side as you sort of do some other work or have it in the background, that's totally fine. If you click this little button here that says light, it'll, darken out everything else and you can just watch the movie. Let me jump a little in it so you can see. It's not all just
an hours, and you won't know who it is because you don't have the context for that. But it's
so that's Edward Snowden, and this is sort of footage while they're in the process of documenting all of the stuff that he's going to release. All right, let me close that for now. So instead of a lengthy reading or something like that, or a bunch of different links, I'd like you to watch Citizenfour, which will just give you a good place to start with thinking about all of these issues. And then what I want you to do is to read Chapter 2 of something called Utilitarianism by John Stuart Mill. You may or may not have come across John Stuart Mill in other classes, maybe political science, or I teach it in my philosophy classes. Now, I'm not looking for you to read the whole thing, simply Chapter 2. And so if you click on Chapter 2, Chapter 2 is entitled What Utilitarianism Is. If you've ever heard of the idea of the greater good, right, or the ethics of the greater good, that's what this is. Utilitarianism basically says when you're going to make decisions about what to do, you should do what is in the interest of the greater good. Otherwise also called the greatest happiness principle. And so Chapter 2 talks about this idea of utilitarianism, why it works, why you should follow it, and sort of lays out, I think, fairly simply and clearly this idea of, in order to make ethical decisions, what you do is you think, what is in the interest of the greater good. Okay? So there's other more there's some stuff in here that's a little more complex and not totally straightforward, but I think it's very beneficial for students to be able to read the original text, and then you can make of it what you will. Okay? So read Chapter 2 of John Stuart Mill's Utilitarianism. And then I want you to peruse, not like sort of delve into every corner of it, which would take forever, WikiLeaks, which is a website / organization that posts, some would say private, some would say stolen, some would say whatever information. This is one of the places where Edward Snowden's files got posted. And if there is something that they deem worth public knowledge, it'll get posted on here, regardless largely of how that information came to be. So you can see they've arranged it. You can search here if you want to, but they've arranged it according to different sort of broad categories. So if you wanted to look up various government information, you can see all the different things they have here. So here's one, for example, that was in the news big time, the Hillary Clinton email archive. You could check that out. There's lots of different stuff here. It's a massive website. What else? War and military. Some war logs. There's a bunch of different things here. Anyway, so I want you to peruse that, because for your homework assignment, what I'm going to want you to do is to find some information that, or some article on WikiLeaks that you think, okay, while this might be problematic, maybe it's for the greater good that this information is out there. But I'm also going to want you to do something a little opposite of that. So let me explain the homework then. So after you've watched Citizenfour, you've read Utilitarianism, and you've perused WikiLeaks a little, let me take you to the homework assignment, which is due Monday, October 29th. So for the homework assignment, as usual, 2 to 3 typed double-spaced pages. Here are the questions I want you to answer. There's basically 2 questions. What is some information posted on WikiLeaks that you think, while problematic, is for the greater good? and make sure to explain why you think that is. So find something on WikiLeaks that you're like, like this information was gotten by means that I don't agree with, or, it might be problematic that, different countries have access to military information about this. I mean, I don't know. It could be any number of things. But ultimately, you decide, sort of like a utilitarian, it's for the greater good that the public has access to this kind of information, right? But then I also want you to find something on WikiLeaks that you think is problematic and not for the greater good. Meaning, you're like, I really don't think, this sort of information should be public knowledge. Okay? Regardless of how it was gotten or anything like that, you just think this is too problematic. It's not ultimately for the greater good that this information is public record, basically. All right? And then, as always, make sure to reference some of the module readings or viewings in your paper. Hopefully you'll see how these things are connected. Hopefully none of this stuff is new to you right now. Of course, the rubric is here that you can take a look at. It hasn't changed. And of course, to be clear, make sure that either you click Write Submission and you type in here, or that you upload the full file using Browse My Computer. Entering in the comment section does not work. It doesn't let me grade it the way it needs to be graded. So just to be clear about that. And then, as usual, the discussion board post, and of course going along with the theme or the format that we've always used, in around 250 to 500 words. Briefly describe the WikiLeaks articles that you chose, provide the links if you can, and briefly, right? I'm not asking you to cut and paste your whole paper into this, right? Just briefly put some stuff up there and then respond to 3 other posts. All right? Everyone's pretty used to this by now, so I don't think it should be a big surprise. Okay? And that's it. Everything is due by Friday, November 2nd. And if you have any questions, let me know. I look forward to what you come up with. And next week we will, or not next week, next module we'll be dealing with the issue of respect for sources. And then you can begin working on your final project. All right, I look forward to seeing what everyone comes up with. Let me know if you have any questions.